Welcome back, True Seeker. The month of July 2025 has seen an unprecedented amount of insane flooding just within the United States of America. Again, on the 4th of July, the nation's birthday, it was the state of Texas. Right after that, it was New Mexico. Right after that, it was Chicago, Iowa, the Carolinas, now New York City. And in the time of all this flooding, Texas has continued to get a lot of the attention. There wasn't a whole lot of light shown on some of these other major floods. And these aren't just some light, skimpy floods. I mean, look into the footage of what's going on in Iowa. It looked like the ocean rose up in the middle of people's backyards, and the mainstream media didn't even say much about it. What I want to talk about is what I've been talking about, what I wrote a book about almost a decade ago now, and that is the history of weather warfare, which is very much a real thing. And a lot of people, sadly, at this day and age, think it's some kind of conspiracy theory. If you're that person, look into the history of the United States of America and its federal government banning weather warfare decades ago, following the same protocols that were used in the banning of weather warfare internationally in Geneva. Again, last year, there was a congressman out of Florida making the rounds after the devastating hurricane, saying these nut jobs online talking about weather warfare out of their mind. And if you missed my work at that time, I called his office and talked to his secretary for about 10 minutes about how ironic it was that he started out in the 26th district of Florida, and it was literally his 26th birthday when he was a much younger man. That was the day the U.S. government banned weather warfare. So for all these years later, oftentimes you realize when things happen on your birthday. Like I always remember the coldest day recorded in history was the day I was born. And it stands out because, of course, I was born on that day. But you would think a man who had weather warfare banned on his birthday when he was already in politics, you think he would remember that and he wouldn't be years later telling people they're nut jobs for telling others to look into weather warfare. But as I've been explaining and educating about now for more than a decade, come 12 years this August, it's pretty clear who is the driving force of weather warfare in this world, and they do use the Bible as a playbook. And for all the people right now who think what's happening are signs that we're near the end of the world and it's Revelation and Jesus is about to return, please allow your mind to be open to some new information that should be very relevant to you. A lot of people of the Christian faith and of all faiths and atheists alike, they're not aware of whose calendar we're on that says today I'm doing this video on July 15th, 2025. They don't have a clue. But if you look into it, this calendar was given to us by the Jesuit priest Christopher Clavius. And a lot of people don't know who the Jesuits are. They were warned about when this nation was being created. They were created to counter the Protestant Reformation, the same Reformation that sent a lot of people across the Atlantic to found this nation. And of course, the Jesuits sailed right behind him and set up camp in D.C., where eventually this nation's federal government was situated. And right now we're in the time of another Jesuit-educated president. This time is Donald Trump. Before that, it was Joe Biden, and so on and so forth. But yes, the Jesuits, who are the military order of the Catholic Church, again, they gave us the calendar. They standardized the English alphabet with 26 letters as we know it. Remember, I was talking about how that thing happened on that guy's 26th birthday? 26 is a number in Kabbalah that represents God in both Hebrew and in English. And what I've been educating about is how this Kabbalah does play God over our lives. And weather warfare is a tremendous way for them to play God. And for anyone who knows Genesis, where the biblical flood happens, Noah, by the way, don't we use Noah? Isn't that also the name of the agency that gives us all the flood data? Noah. But Noah gets the warning from God in Genesis 7:4 about the coming 40 days and 40 nights of flooding. And I'm starting to think that's where this is going. 40 days and 40 nights of just insane flooding, because it's almost every day now. It's like, wow, another place just got smashed. Another place just got wiped out. If you guys know the YouTuber Taylor Lorenz, I think she does a lot of good work. I think a lot of her work is good, but like all people, some things are definitely not right that she says. She did a great piece on the police surveillance state that's being built in America. Totally agree. But then she puts out a video about, lunatic right wingers. Again, I'm not a right winger. I don't identify with the right wing at all. But, right now you see that that's how it's being labeled in the news, that it's the right wing that's putting the weather conspiracy theories out on the internet. She just did a video like this, and she has a co-host in there, and they're saying, yeah, I mean, like, what would even be the point of weather warfare? The point would be to gain greater control over the world through a political agenda called climate change, which is why they want to build 15-minute cities and whatnot. It goes along with what the Jesuit Klaus Schwab said back in 2020, you'll own nothing and be happy. People are being priced out of living right now. Insurance rates are through the roof. I mean, insurance rates have doubled for pretty much everybody, if not worse, in the last 5, 6, 7 years. I haven't made a single claim. My insurance rates are just sky high. It's maddening. It's just like, God. And the justification is all of these claims that are being made from the unprecedented weather, whether it's flooding or fires, and a lot of it does not look like Mother Nature. It looks like agenda. And again, for people saying, well, why would your own nation's government do it to you? Again, what is government? Government is a control structure, and most people in government, they don't really care about the people they govern over. They care about their own power, their own wealth, their own success, and having influence over others. And that's been the name of the game for governments all across the world. So this naive idea of, well, why would our government do that to us? I mean, get a clue. Why do you think the founders gave you the right to protect yourself from enemies, foreign and domestic? And everybody in the modern age likes to gaff at that domestic part, like, oh, domestic, like we would have to ever protect ourselves from our own greatest government that ever, just this American idea that we're just the greatest thing there ever was, when it couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, this nation's history is what? Born out of a genocide, born on the backs of slavery, only rich landowners had rights, at war ever since, killing brown people left and right in the name of lies. That is the real American legacy. It's not to say there aren't good things here, but no, being lied to by government and always being at war, that's the name of the game. And, it looks like the people who control the military apparatus and its technology have now taken target at us as well. And it seems to have been this way for all of the 21st century, which started with a bang with buildings crumbling to dust in the middle of the air. And you know what? Let's just read Genesis 7, since here we are in July, the 7th month, and the time of Cancer, a water sign where a lot of the country is underwater, or people are trying to, rebuild or shovel the mud out of their house and everything else. So Genesis 7. Again, you don't have to be a Bible person to appreciate what's going on. And like I said, the Bibles were numbered, English was standardized, the calendar rolled out. All of these things happened in close succession to each other, ending in the end of the 16th century, where a system was implemented that's been carried out ever since. Again, this is what I educate about. History and news by the numbers. Genesis 7:4, as we're about to get to, is a lot like July 4th, 7:4. Actually, here, let me make a point about this system being set up. Let me just scroll down here. I made this point 1,000 times before about this nation in the Old Testament. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Iowa. Iowa got hit hard on July 11th. Look up the footage of the flooding in Iowa, in the heartland. That's the day leaving 173 days left in the year, which is the 40th prime. Just notice how Old Testament is 40, like United States. There's 929 chapters in the Old Testament. In Jewish gematria, United States of America is 929. Okay, so again, I'm talking about how this system was set up of language, letters, numbers, dates that goes with this Kabbalistic system that was implemented by the Jesuits, an order that is very much Catholic and Jewish, and which was brought together by the Protestant Reformation, where Martin Luther targeted Catholicism and Judaism, launching an event that led to the creation of this country. And a lot of people don't know anything about this history because they go to 13 years of slave school, pledging to 13 stripes, where they're never really taught anything about anything that matters, including founders warning about the Jesuits and how if they come out of suppression, they could subvert the nation. The most outspoken, again, were Jefferson and Adams, who died together on the 4th of July in 1826. And then the next most outspoken president against the Catholic Church, Monroe, died 1,826 days later on the 4th of July. But anyway, let's read Genesis 7 about the biblical flood, and then we'll come back to what's going on here. The Lord then said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth." Again, if you read the Bible, it is so full of numerology, it's ridiculous. And don't forget, the 4th book of the Bible is called Numbers. Genesis is the first book where the flood happens. So now here we are with Genesis 7:4, a lot like 7th month, 4th day, like Independence Day. So it reads, 7 days from now, I will send rain on the earth. Now, 7 days from 7:4 would be 7/11, right? Look up what happened in Iowa, because it looks crazy. And by the way, just for the record, Iowa, if you're new here, there's 4 base ciphers of the English language. Iowa equals 21 like Bible. 21's the 6th triangular number. Man's made on the 6th day. Humans 21 for the record as well. But Iowa also has that 60 like holy and 48 like Iowa. But yeah, just the Bible thing. Okay. Again, Genesis 7:4, 7 days from now, I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the floodwaters came on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. And he is 600. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds and of all creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark, as God had commanded Noah. And after the 7 days, the floodwaters came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, on that day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened, and rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that very day, Noah and his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife and the wives of his 3 sons, entered the ark. They had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moves along the ground according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, everything with wings. Pairs of all creatures that have the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. Notice that's 7:17. It reminds of this right here. The Jesuit order. Hold on. I forgot the word order. The Jesuit order and weather control. Again, they both have that 177, 69, and 201. 7:17 reminds of July 17th, which can also be written 17:7. And don't forget, the Holy Bible is also 201. Using the Bible as the playbook. If you've missed all my work of the flooding just happening everywhere across the nation, 201's encoded in all of it, as it often is, as we've talked about for years. Again, the Jesuits revere this 201 number. It's why the first Jesuit Pope was the first to live in Suite 201, and their whole history goes back to 201. Created 201 months after Martin Luther penned the 95 Theses. In their suppression, they were saved by Catherine the Great with 201 Jesuit priests. They set up their headquarters in D.C., where eventually the nation's capital was moved to, and then eventually Inauguration Day was moved to the 201st day of the nation's age. That's why Trump sacrificed his ex-wife and buried her on the 201st day of the year in a big 60 ritual, and then put out a $60 Bible. He did that with his wife. The same day he said he'd run in the 60th election, not to mention his name's 60 as well. But anyway, coming back, for 40 days, the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. Here's Genesis 7:20. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 15 cubits. You might want to think more about that one because 7/20, July 20th, is the 201st day of the nation's age. And this year it's going to be a date with 52 numerology, the big flood number. Flood 52, like Earth, like Enlil, the Babylonian god of flooding. All of this stuff goes back to Babylon. Bible, Kabbalah, all of it. Every living thing that moved on land perished: birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarm over the earth, and all mankind. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out. People and animals and the creatures that move along the ground and the birds were wiped from the earth. Only Noah was left and those with him in the ark. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days. So, and remember that it starts to recede in Genesis 8:3, like Enlil, earth, flood are all 8:3 in reverse. What just happened in Texas on July 4th happened in the 830 area code. 83 days from John Kerr's birthday anniversary, who Kerrville's named after, and his birthday is the 24th of September, 24/9, like this went down on the 249th birthday of the nation. And don't forget, Lyndon Johnson from Texas, he gave that speech talking about a weather satellite at Texas State University. And as we talked about, he gave that speech on May 27th, 38 days before what happened in Texas on the 4th of July. And it was compared to what happened 38 years ago on the same river, where campers were also killed. And of course, death is 38, and so is murder and killing and RIP, but so is Noah. Noah's 38. You see where Noah's also 20? Just like flood has the 20 connection. 4th of July had 20 date numerology. July 13th this year had 20 date numerology. There was more flooding in Central Texas on that same day. But okay. So, again, they're calling this the year of the flood, 2025. Again, the 4 base ciphers of the English language. This Kabbalistic system related to the Torah, the practice of encoding numbers into words, gematria. Again, the 4 base ciphers. Alphabetic order with numerology, reverse alphabetic order with numerology. Flood, Earth, Enlil, Kerr is also 25, as in the town that Kerrville is named after, James Kerr. But yeah, this perfect overlap. And don't forget, the 4th of July this year also had a 56 date numerology path as well as 20. They'd both break down to 11 and 2. 7-4 is a lot like 74, which is the 52nd composite number. Remember, Kerrville, they got their emergency alert at 1:14 a.m., which is the 74th minute of the day. James Kerr is from the Texas Revolution, which ended on April 21st, 74 days before 7-4. So Iowa, the day it flooded, July 11th, it's a lot like Genesis 7:11. Genesis 7:11 is when the waters began to come down. Again, I would encourage everybody to look up the flooding in Iowa. It looks crazy. It looks even crazier than Texas, and it was hardly in the news. Hold on. July 11th was 195 days after Iowa's state's birthday, and that's the 150th composite number, like the biblical flood ends after 150 days. And again, July 11th leaves 173 days left in the year, which is the 40th prime number. In Old Testament and United States are 40. And again, there's 929 chapters in Protestant Old Testaments. United States of America, 929 in Jewish Gematria. The flooding in Iowa did go into July 12th. Genesis 10:12, also obviously about the biblical flood. And we've talked about this many times before, just the fact that Noah is the thing that reports the flood data. Just seems like obvious mockery. And 10:3 is a lot like 103, like Jesuits. So, again, the first act of weather warfare admitted to occurred on August 15th, 1952. 52 on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th. But yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan, he put out the album about the Texas flood in 83 on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. Just think about it. Lyndon Johnson, he has that birthday that is the 239th day of the year, the 52nd prime, talking about the future of who controls the weather, controls the world. Google really didn't like my video on that topic. All of my videos, when I first post them, they get instantly demonetized and I'll appeal. And usually when they stop getting views, they'll reinstate and say, oh, all right, yeah, you can earn some dollars, but then the videos don't get any more views. It's the game Google plays with channels like yours truly. The truth tellers get punished. The chosen agent frauds that watch Fox News and drop F-bombs and have nothing real to add, they get paid $1 million a day in ad revenue, bringing nothing to the table. But then again, they're probably syndicated by Fox News just to get their crap in front of more people through the YouTube platform. Anyway, yeah, the reason I'm bringing that up is I appealed that, and they said, no, we're not adhering to your appeal. This video stays demonetized. It's like, oh man, they really didn't like what I exposed about the Lyndon Johnson thing. But yeah, again, just Lyndon Johnson, born on the 239th day of the year, the day that Harvey flooded. You know, you think that's an accident? The devastating Harvey happened on Lyndon Johnson's birthday. On his 109th birthday, when military and weather both equal 109. And don't forget who told you what day Texas was going to flood a week before it happened, and who also told you as soon as it happened why the Astros were going to beat the Dodgers in the World Series. And again, the hit piece is still up from Vice News for me calling all that out. Vice News, wacko YouTuber approves World Series was rigged. Again, mocking exactly what I said about 239 and 52. You know, they only took a little bit of the reporting, but I've been talking about this stuff for a long time, over and over and over. And yeah, again, from Lyndon Johnson's death anniversary to the flooding on 7/4 was 163 days, the 38th prime from his death anniversary, 38 years earlier. And from his speech about weather control, May 27th, from that anniversary to the flood, 38 days, death, murder, killing, RIP. But Noah, also 38. And so is Kabbalah, which is based in the Torah, which begins with Genesis. Again, the movie Murder by Numbers came out while Sandra Bullock was 38 years old, 38 weeks after her birthday. And again, just the Lyndon Johnson references the weather satellite in that video, this future weather satellite to control the weather, to control the world. It makes you wonder. I mean, is that part of what's going on this year? Is there a weather satellite like Lyndon Johnson talked about in the 60s? Is it in full board now that the country is 249 years old? Again, here's James Kerr, born on the 24th of September, 24/9. It starts off in Kerrville for the 249th birthday of the nation. And don't forget that Tupac Amaru, who Tupac Shakur is named after, his birthday is also 24th of September. However, it keeps wanting to bring up his son. Or no, excuse me, Tupac Amaru, his birthday is not September 24th. His death anniversary is September 24th. But remember, Tupac Shakur's associate died this year on the 4th of July on 249th birthday, when Tupac Amaru has this September 24th connection as well. Again, those are two major league coincidences. Also from JFK's weather control speech to the United Nations one more time to Lyndon Johnson talking about it was 244 days later. He spoke at Texas State University, which equals 244, just like geoengineering's 244. That's a typo. I got to fix that. Sudden destruction, President Kennedy, science fiction, Federal Reserve System, all 244. Ever since the central bank, that is the Federal Reserve, was implemented, we've pretty much been at war nonstop, one form of war or another. And again, the Federal Reserve system requires endless debt creation. They're constantly giving out more loans, and their banking Ponzi scheme system, that's more profits. Anytime places are devastated in the U.S., these governments declare emergencies and get loans from the central bankers to make the repairs, to bail out the property owners who lost what they had. Again, this is all part of one big sick system. But yeah, here's what I want. Once upon a time, if you're new here, I used to get views. This content used to get great viewership nearly a decade ago. The same time Vice News was having to write hit pieces to counter, what I was educating the world about rigged weather, rigged sports, rigged elections. Again, channel's been deleted 20 sometimes, and now at this stage in the game can't get any views. But there's all these channels that have just really grown and come out of nowhere on YouTube, and like this showed up in my feed the other day, so I just want to watch this. This is the kind of stuff that's getting the views today. 26,000 likes from Tennessee Brando. Again, I just want to compare and contrast. And if anybody knows Tennessee Brando, I'd love to have a debate with Tennessee Brando, but check this out. And by the way, I'm not into the whole political thing. I just want to point out that this is the kind of stuff that's getting the views. Political war stuff between different factions of very ignorant people. Let's watch, and let's speed it up a little bit, too, so we can move through it more quickly. Tennessee Brando getting all the views with his thoughts about the flood, which are literally just static on the internet that nobody needs to hear. Here we go.
So I want to talk about what's going on down in Texas, and one of the talking points that I'm now seeing coming from MAGA. I'm not at all shocked that they would take it here. It truly disgusts me to no end, and I want to talk about that in just a minute. But before I do, I want to once again talk about how I go about doing things here on my channel, because I got a lot of new subscribers, and I want you to understand the way that I go about making my content. Now, there are certain news stories that can break, and the minute they break, I know I can talk about it. If Donald Trump says something crazy or does something crazy, or Elon says or does something crazy, I can usually come right in here, and sometimes I'll call on Coach D to go live with me, and we'll talk about it as it's happening. But whenever it comes to tragic events, I like to wait till I have more information before I react, because my content is me reacting to the news. Someone like Aaron Parnas, he's breaking the news to you. He's letting you know what's going on. And I love that dude, follow him. And I'm always, glad when he puts it out right there as it's happening. I know it's happening. But when I see him make one of those, we've got some breaking news, this is happening. If it's a tragic event like what's happened down in Texas, there's days where I just like to sit back first and wait until I have more information before I talk about it, because I feel like a lot of times you can have knee-jerk reactions to things, and a lot of times that ends up causing misinformation to be spread around, and I don't want to be one of the people doing that. So there are days and there are times where you may see a tragic story break, and I may not talk about it just yet. You may be like, well, has Brando heard about that? Why ain't he talking about it? Well, the truth is, I've heard about it, but I'm not talking about it till I just gather some more information. So I hope y'all understand the way that I go about it. But one of the talking points that I'm seeing coming from MAGA that doesn't shock me, but truly does disgust me — they never fail to disgust me on these things — is that they're trying to say that what happened down in Texas was man-made. I guess the Democrats are controlling the weather. And it's such a ridiculous talking point to me when they have the presidency, they have the Senate, they have the House, they have the Supreme Court in their back pocket 6-3, and then you're talking about Texas, which is a red state ran by a Republican governor. So are you saying that even though you have all that power, somehow Democrats are still strong enough to...
Hey guys, this is U.S. Senator John Ossoff in Georgia. And before you skip this ad,
sorry, I'm going to
just hear me.
To predict the weather and control the weather? I mean, it's so ridiculous that every time we have a tragedy in this country, people are never allowed to mourn. People are never allowed to suffer or anything before MAGA comes with their...
I will just say it is ridiculous to think that the Democrats would be controlling the weather, because the military is, 90% Republican at least. But again, this is just, it's all beside, here, I'll just let it play. It's just, this isn't what people need to be talking about. They need to be talking about the history of weather warfare and what's really going on in this nation and why. Not making it about, I can't stand those mega Republican types. Because honestly, I can't either, but I also can't stand those Democrat types or anyone who's fooled by either side of the political aisle. Let's just continue. This is the crap that's getting the views. It's maddening.
Conspiracy theories, and starts throwing them out there against the wall. It's truly sickening to me that they always take it to this talking point. They always go conspiracy with it. And the reason why that they go conspiracy theory with these whole things is because they can't wrap their mind around it. They can never say, well, maybe this is how things work, or maybe this is how things happen. So I have my good buddy Texas Paul.
As he's talking, just like he has no idea of the history of weather warfare, like so many of these people who made videos just like this do. Taylor Lorenz, she also, and again, I'm more familiar with her than this guy. This guy's video showed up in my feed, so I ended up seeing it. But Taylor Lorenz made some comment about, like, the government doesn't have anything to do with the weather, when there's literally the 96 Air Force document about owning the weather by 2025, which is the year we're in, where this really crazy, unprecedented weather is happening. And also, in light of Lyndon Johnson's speech about a weather satellite to control the weather, to control the world. And again, this all kicking off on the nation's 249th birthday, when weather satellite literally equals 249. And it kicks off in a town named after a guy born on 24/9. I mean, come on. Put away your conspiracy theory crap and identify the conspiracy that is America and its military and its media and the millions of lemmings under total mind control just throwing out conspiracy theory. Stop with the conspiracy theory crap. God.
On the show, and it was a great episode. I highly recommend you go watch the whole thing if you've not seen it already. But I want to play you this clip of Paul just breaking down what happened in Texas with the flooding, with the droughts they're having, and he just breaks it down in a very matter-of-fact way. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure these things out, but in MAGA's world, they could never wrap their mind around.
What's funny is you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what I figured out. You just need to follow the actual trail of crumbs right back to the source. By the way, you guys, again, the first cloud seeding experiment in U.S. history, it will turn 79 later this year, but it's 78 years old and change. Remember, Jesuit equals 78, as does order out of chaos. Should remind you of when the Cooties 19 pandemic was declared 78 days after Fauci's birthday. And, of course, Wuhan, Corona, VIRUS equals 78. And that was all simulated with Event 201 by the Jesuit Klaus Schwab. But anyway, let's continue.
Something that Paul breaks down here without having to turn it into a conspiracy theory. So we're going to let Paul explain what was happening down in Texas, and then I'm going to talk more about why MAGA always has to turn these things into a ridiculous conspiracy. Roll the clip.
What's going on down there is, I hate to go all Bill Nye the Science guy on you, but this kind of thing, they call this place Flash Flood Alley, where this happens.
For the record, Bill Nye isn't a scientist, he's an actor.
We have seen this before. And the first thing Republicans try to do is run out, it's 100-year storm. There's nothing anybody, no bullshit. It happens about every 20, 25 years down there. We get this much flooding. And what makes it so bad this time around is it's following a drought, Brando. It's following a drought. Now, you live up in Tennessee, so you know what it's like to live on rocks, man. I mean, you get a little bit of thin layer of topsoil on top of rock. It's the way it is, man. Down there, it's all limestone. So they've been having a drought, and when you have a drought, the ground gets compacted and tight, and it will not just readily take water. That's why it's so hard to snap out of a drought. So you get a big rainstorm that drops 8-9 inches of rain on an area that's it's all limestone, so it's difficult for water to find places to go anyway. But two, the ground itself can't absorb any of the water.
So right here we're listening to this obese man who's got it all figured out. Again, I would never take anyone seriously who's obese. They don't know anything about life. They don't even know how to respect their own body. Obviously don't know much about nutrition, which is a very simple thing to learn about. If they don't care about their own body, what do they really care about? This guy hasn't taken the time to learn anything about anything. Otherwise, he wouldn't be saying what he's saying. If you're controlling the weather and you're setting up rituals for devastation so that you can do the same thing as you did 38 years ago, and also everyone should be wondering why the Kansas City Chiefs owner's little niece was there. It's also super suspect at the Camp Mystic thing, as we talked about. But if you're controlling the weather and owning it by 2025, like the Air Force document said from the 90s, maybe you could do exactly just that. Set it up for the optimal conditions for the maximum impact of your planned flood ritual. Couldn't it be just that way? Of course it could. Of course it could. Because JFK literally gave the speech in 61 about how this technology could be used to ensure there aren't droughts. So why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they doing that? Why are there these long, worrisome droughts that set up these optimal conditions for these horrible fires that have been happening in recent years? Why aren't we using the technology in the way we can? And isn't it funny how just now this year they're finally starting to just talk about cloud seeding a little bit for the first time, when even that's been treated like a conspiracy theory in more recent years, when it's been admitted to since the 40s? All right, back to the obese guy.
It's going to be really slow before the ground loosens up. It's like when you go out to your yard, man. When you've been watering it regularly, if you go out there the next day and you spray water on it, it doesn't pool up right away. The ground just sucks it up, But if it's been dry forever, you go out there and spray, and then you can immediately see that pool of water right on the top. Those are the things that Mother Nature contributed to this. One, it's just a flood-prone area, and two, they're in a drought. They're still in a drought with all this rain, man. We know that Ted Cruz was off in Greece, despite the fact that we got warnings here that this was going to happen. And that's one of the things I want to bet down is they're saying that we didn't get warnings. No, the National Weather Service put out warnings. They did.
Yeah, they put one out at the 74th minute of the day on 7/4. 74 days after the anniversary of the Texas Revolution's end, again, when the town's named after a hero from it, and who's been teaching about 74 and killing for all these years, especially on the nation's birthday, where 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents died.
The problem is it's really not sufficient. It's not. They're not at a full staff. An old boy by the name of Paul Ura was the coordinator for these warnings. He retired a couple months ago because of Doge. He took the early retirement from Doge. And he hasn't been in the office for a couple months. So,
and do you see how this is what I always say with this is our whole political system. It's all rigged, and they set up all these narratives so people can keep pointing fingers. And right now, something that's viral is that in 2021, the Kerrville County rejected $10 million in aid from the Biden administration that could have been used to set up a flood warning system. If you look into that, that's mostly misinformation. They did reject $10.1 million in federal aid from the Biden administration, which was for Cooties 19, because they were worried that if they took it, there'd be more mandates in their county from the federal government. It didn't have anything to do with setting up a flood warning system. But you see, this information's viral too, because people are getting into this whole political thing, just like this video is all about the politics. And this is what America does. Sticks in their political lanes, points fingers at the other side. Step back from the political game. See, it's all one big circus. Neither of these parties represent you. And people like this are not talking about what matters. They're talking bullshit. They're talking ignorance. Yeah, man, it was a drought, so the ground was hard, so it was just optimal for the flood. Okay, moron.
Yeah, you've got that situation. You've got a shortage. The National Weather Service, before any of this happens, before Doge came along, the National Weather Service said, look, we're understaffed, we're undermanned. Our meteorologists are working way too many damn hours. Hell, the Houston office is understaffed by 30% right now. Right now. I mean, this flooding is going to happen elsewhere. But in this situation, they were busting ass, man. They were. And they were doing everything they could to work the extra hours, and they put the warnings out. But here's the problem, Brando. The warnings came at 1 a.m. This didn't happen at noon when everybody was awake and out playing volleyball at the camp. Everyone was dead asleep. So
almost like a military operation to attack in the dead of night to get the optimal casualty amount. You know? Almost just like that. Man, who sent out that alert right at the 74th minute of the day, you know? Who did that? Notice these bullshitters have the YouTube plaque in the background. Yours truly has been deleted 4 times on the verge of 100K subs. They don't want to send me that plaque, but if you get on here and you bullshit and you talk politics and do all the things that that's what they want on YouTube. Useful idiots. That's what these men are. That's what a useful idiot is. Oh, conspiracy theories. It's really a political problem. Here, let's talk about it. This guy's got it all figured out. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. And again, don't get it twisted. I can't stand the chump. Hey, learn what I'm talking about. You'll see 4 years in advance like we did why they were going to reinstall Trump in 2024. And you'll also see way ahead of the curve why they put in Biden 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday after they sacrificed his son at 46. 201 days before the Pope's birthday, and the same Jesuit priest with the 201 name did the funeral for Beau and the inauguration for Joe. It's annoying being 1,000 years ahead of all these lemmings, and that's part of the reason people don't want to listen either. They want to listen to the dum-dums like them rather than the people who actually know what they're talking about. Look at these fat slobs.
Warning system, the only warning system they had was cell phones, and for the most part, they don't allow them kids to have cell phones. I don't know the case of Camp Mystic, the one that got, just absolutely devastated. We're up to over 100 dead so far, but this happened in the middle of the night. What could have fixed this, y'all have tornado sirens, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, almost everybody has a tornado siren that's near them. You hear that go off, your head is on a swivel.
Yeah.
I'll sleep through an alarm, man. Shit, I'll set my alarm for something and I will sleep right through that. If Mrs. Texas Paul ain't there to hit me and wake me up, I'll sleep right damn through it. But that tornado warning goes off, there's something in your head.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit, what's going on? We had back in 2017, Kerrville took a look, the area where this happened, took a look at putting in a flood warning system because this happens so damn often in this area because of the topography, man. It just is. It just is what it is, Couldn't do it. No money. Couldn't find the money. Too expensive. We're not doing it.
That's correct what he's saying. I looked that up. The state of Texas rejected it after Harvey. After Harvey, they requested this flood warning system, and it was rejected by the state. They said it was too expensive. So that's true. But the thing that's circulating about them rejecting the federal money for the flood system in 2021, that's not correct. That's viral, false information, just getting people in the political divide.
The federal government said, I'll give you $1 billion to do it. And Texas being Texas, government's bad. No, we can't take no government money for Medicaid. We can't take no grants for early warning systems. We can't do that. That government's bad. Not bullshit.
Now what he's saying is not true. Now he's getting into the false stuff. It wasn't billions. It was 10.1 million, and it was for Cooties 19 related stuff. It wasn't for the flood system. So now he's getting into the false rhetoric here. Anyone can look it up. I actually took the time this morning to listen to that meeting in 2021. It's all about Cooties 19. And you actually listen to that meeting, those people are right, the things they were saying. They're like, I don't want to take any chances with the federal government bringing more mandates here and interfering with our way of life. So, no, what this fat guy is saying is wrong.
Government is good. And had you done your fucking job and taken that money and built that.
Listen to this guy. Government is good. Actually, no, fat fucking loser. It's not. It's about control, and it's what did this to your town, you piece of shit. These people make me sick, and the fact this shit's viral makes me even more sick. Look at this fat, sorry-ass motherfucker. Government's good. Yeah, where? Well, where's it been good? Was it good when it lied to you about Cooties 19? Were you on board with that too? Is it good when it's been genociding people all over the world, and as it turns a blind eye to what we're now doing over in Israel? Is that good? Because check out the Al Jazeera headlines. It's 100+ dead every single day. From weapons paid for with our tax dollars. Is government good? This fat piece of shit. Subsidizing his sugar cubes. That's why he thinks it's good. You're going to die early, fat man. It's not good.
That system. I bet you 80% of the 80 people that are now dead would not be dead today. I'm telling you, 4 out of 5 people that died in this flood.
They wouldn't be dead, you fat fuck, if the government hadn't used this military weapon like Lyndon Johnson talked about in the 60s to fucking wash them away, you idiot. God.
Would not have died if they'd just taken the damn grant, taken the money, and built the damn system.
And you see, folks, this is the difference between us and MAGA. We can listen to an explanation like that. And
no, there is no difference. You guys are both caught up on sides of the political aisle, and you're both dumb as shit.
we can say, okay, that makes sense. And I'll be honest with you, as Paul was sitting there telling me about what was going on, I was listening, I was taking in that information, and it made perfect sense to me. But MAGA will sit back and they will see that and they'll go, well, now, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that suddenly the town just flooded? You mean to tell me? Listen, no matter how many times you say the phrase, you mean to tell me, that's not evidence. You know, back when we were having all the plane crashes, people, how did that plane do? You mean to tell me that plane just crashed? Just because you say that, that is not evidence. That is not proof of anything. Just because you can't explain something, just because you can't dig in and learn how things work, that is not evidence for the conspiracy that you're now pumping out just because the forklift driver at work told you he read it on the internet. And when I use that phrase, forklift driver, I drove a forklift, okay? So no disrespect to forklift drivers. I've done it. I actually really enjoyed doing it. So I'm not throwing shade at forklift drivers, but it's just like people will go to work and they will wait till someone spouts the conspiracy theory that fits their preconceived notion, and then they just continue to push it out into the world. And they do it while people are suffering, while people are burying their loved ones, while people are still searching for their loved ones. They can't let people just rest in peace or have any peace that they don't start spreading this ridiculous shit out into the world. Every time a tragedy happens, I say to myself, will we ever have a moment? And if someone can remember one that I'm forgetting, the last time that I remember this country ever coming together was the day after 9/11. That's pretty much the last time that I can ever remember us when we were like, you know what, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. I don't care if you're an atheist or a Christian. I don't care if you're gay or straight. We're Americans today. It felt like right there, and even George W. Bush, who I don't like giving any credit to, but even in that moment, he tried to bring us together just for a minute. I mean, he completely failed and miserably dropped the ball later. But have we had a moment since like September 12th, 2001? Have we had one moment where we've just sat back and said, you know, we're Americans? And we should come together? Every time a tragedy happens, I know that MAGA is going to turn it into a conspiracy. I know that they're all going to start sharing their garbage at a time when people are suffering. And I just wish we could get away from that. I will never understand why people are okay with it. I'll never understand why that's a group of people you want to surround yourself with. You know, it wouldn't matter what my beliefs were on certain things, where I stood on certain issues. I could never get behind the cruelty that they have. I could never get behind the ridiculous bullshit, embarrassing conspiracy theories that they get behind. That would be my biggest thing. Even if I did entertain some of the conservative beliefs, I couldn't get behind the cruelty. And I would end up over here on this side because there's no way that I couldn't sit there knowing my side is this deranged. But MAGA truly is deranged, and I'm always going to call him for that. Let's stop calling him weird.
I'll give him this. I don't disagree that the people on the MAGA side, you could argue, are cruel, like cheering on the alligator Alcatraz, which has the big fat Jesuit order encoding coming straight from the Jesuit puppet Trump. But again, I mean, this guy is saying deranged conspiracy theories about weather control. No, this is just a next level, just stupidity, just total ignorance. It's just so annoying how dumb Americans are. Your own government admitted to weather warfare in the 60s during Vietnam. It is 2025. There is a document called Owning the Weather by 2025, again from the Air Force, that's nearly 30 years old. It's just maddening. It's maddening how stupid these people are. Didn't you hear his explanation? It hadn't rained there for a while. The ground was real hard, so it was optimal for flooding. Doesn't that make perfect sense? It's like, how's that proof of anything? Could be further proof of how well they set it up for the mass casualty coming in the middle of the night. Would there be any doubt if everybody had been studying what we've been studying as long? The 74 killing pattern, they had to alert the town at the 74th minute of the day, literally, on 7/4. I mean, it's just, yeah, this is disgusting. 26,000 likes. I mean, just for a totally pathetic video. Maddening.
Okay, because there's good kinds of weird. You know, Hunter S. Thompson said, when the going gets tough, the weird turn pro. I used to like that phrase. And don't get me wrong, they're strange, they're weird, but there's good strange and good weird. But these people are deranged, they're sick. And they just sit back and they get off on people's misery and pain. And
you just said a guy just told you government is good, and you don't think he's deranged and sick? Literally, what has the U.S. government done that's good? We've been killing people all over the world. We've been going into nations because they want a government that's free of corporations, and we kill their leaders, and then we turn them into slave labor for us. You don't think it's deranged to say government's good, especially when you're in a nation that's the killing leader of the world? No, these people live in delusions. Almost everyone in this country lives in a delusion. That's why they call it the American dream. Everyone's asleep. It's pathetic. It is so pathetic. And this is the shit that gets the views. It pisses me off. The ignorance.
Spread this bullshit when they shouldn't be. I don't want to do that. I want to be the person that sits back, sees what happens, gets an understanding of it, without just going, you mean to tell me, and then saying a bunch of shit. And anytime someone saes that, oh, now you really going to tell me? You really expect me to believe that? No, actually, I don't. I don't expect you to believe anything that's true or anything that your mind can't. I really don't expect you to believe it. But I would really appreciate it if you tried.
Okay, and since he was wearing a Rolling Stones shirt, just a blast from the past, this is covered in my first book, well, along with about 100 other celebrity deaths. He's got a Rolling Stones shirt on. A lot of people don't know that the original singer of the Rolling Stones was Brian Jones. Brian Jones, dead on July 3rd, 7/3. Like Rolling Stones, 73 in Gematria, like Ritual Sacrifice, 73, like Sacrifice Alone, 73. More recently, Charlie Watts of the same band died on a 73 date numerology. And again, you learn this knowledge, you will see through the ritualism from weather warfare to the sacrifice of celebrities. The drummer recently died 83 days after his birthday. Of course, murder equals 83. The British band The Police did the song Murder by Numbers in 83. 83 was big with the Texas flood. So was 38. Both murder numbers, like the movie poster for Murder by Numbers has the 38 encoded in the poster, as we covered earlier. Sandra Bullock, 83, 38 weeks after her 38th birthday. Watts also 83 as in his surname. And remember the Watts murder killing in Colorado, the 38th state, where Colorado equals 38 and 83. It had the same numbers all over it. But yeah, I mean, just look at this. 26,000 likes. It pisses me off. And of course, YouTube, you know, this channel would do better with likes if YouTube didn't take them away. Every day this channel gets stuck on a subscriber count and you watch it tick up 5 and then it drops back down 5 automatically, that number, and it keep it at the same number all day. And then it's just, you know, everything is manipulated, but just shit content is what gets the views. You know, upwards of 500,000 views here, 26,000 likes, and literally nothing but pure ignorance. Pure ignorance from 2 fat, sloppy guys. I do agree that MAGA is trash, and those 2 guys probably don't know that MAGA is the highest degree of the Church of Satan, and Trump's birthday is 45 days after the Church of Satan's birthday, and Obama did tell the joke on the Church of Satan's 45th birthday at the White House Correspondents' Dinner with Trump in attendance that Trump would become number 45. Barack means lightning. Satan comes to earth in a bolt of lightning. On the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, the joke from Obama that Trump would be number 45, and lo and behold, yeah, it's disgusting that everybody in the U.S. doesn't know that in the information age, and we've been putting it out there for how long now? Everybody should know it. Stop fighting over these 2 parties that make fun of you together. So, anyhow, yeah, I got to wrap it up, you guys. I can probably take 1 phone call, but then I got to hit the road here. If anybody wants to call in about the flooding, now is the time. Thank you to the lone super chatter, OTW Live. He says, you're invited to discuss these topics on our channel. I appreciate that. I did see you guys did a coverage of the debate. I forget if it was the debate with Jim Bob or Andrew Wilson, but I saw you guys say that you didn't think Gematria was that important. And that was in 2025. And I thought, well, anyone saying that doesn't know shit about shit, because there's no more important topic on the internet, because nothing exposes half as much. So you can do a video explaining why Gematria is not that important, and then maybe I'll have some commentary back. What's up, 202?
Yo, Zach, I was actually calling in about the Epstein footage.
What Epstein footage?
You know, the camera footage the government released, correct?
The one that supposedly Bongino saw?
Yeah, the one where it's like a jump cut and it's like a minute missing.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that happened, but okay.
For real?
No, I didn't know they released the footage.
Oh, yeah, there's a footage. Okay, so it's crazy, man. The last couple of days have been crazy. So the government released a footage of basically, I guess, the last night of Epstein, you know, before he died or whatever. And the moment he died, there's a minute that is cut from the footage. And there's a YouTuber by the name of, I believe it's like Some Ordinary Game.
I'll check it. Hey, I have to get off right now. I'll check it out, though. I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thanks, man. Yeah, I'll follow up with that. I got to hop off now. All right, you guys. All right, we'll leave it there for now. Until next time.